about how he chooses his quarterbacks and his defensive linemen. We're going to break it down in 2 segments here, okay? First segment is, this happened during Super Bowl weekend, I believe, on it with an interview on the Rich Eisen show. It slowly kind of trickled out with a few people. What's funny is 247 wrote about it and then deleted the article. Why do I know this? Because I was going to make a video about it and chose not to, because it just felt like we were going into uncharted territories, and what everybody was talking about it, which I didn't want to get into, which was political reasons. I was looking at it from a sports background. So I stayed away. But now everybody's talking about it again. It's starting to make its rounds. I haven't really read any articles about it just yet, but I am seeing people claim it as a controversy. What they are saying, I don't know, because I haven't read it. Typically, I try not to read these things because I don't like to persuade or change my opinion on it. I like to go in it raw dog in it if I can. If I feel like I don't have enough knowledge, then I'll go into it or read a little bit about it. But this one I felt pretty confident about and what I had already read. Have you seen anything of why it's being called a controversy?
Just because it seems like the way that he's describing the roles that he's looking for in each position, it seems like it pierces a societal thing. I don't know. It's almost like it's too built for what people just don't want to talk about, to be completely honest with you. But if you can just take that part, the societal part, just take it out of the equation here and just look at how it applies from what he's describing, what he's looking for in an individual unit segment, like an offensive line, a defensive line, skip the whole part in the middle where your emotions and your feelings may get in the middle and in the way, and then just apply it to a football scenario. It makes sense. It's not completely out of the realm of just rationalization to see, like, what he's saying kind of makes sense. Like, you're looking for certain skill sets and certain characteristics and traits that go with each position. You want a fast wide receiver. I love
new credit Holly. Holly, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, that was well done. I mean, you know what you deserve, Steve?
Thanks.
Well done. Really well said. Okay, yeah. Callie Elliott says, can you summarize Deion's statements? Yes. So what he said was, when he's looking to, and I'll get into it now. So I'm gonna elaborate on what you also said. But his quote, I should probably look it up so I don't butcher it. Hold on. I'm just gonna look it up because I don't want to mess it up. It's not going to be hard to find.
Yeah, let's give it quote for quote. And again, before anybody gets into their feelings and emotions or whatever political website you go to read, take all of that out of it. It doesn't exist in this platform.
Yes, that's exactly like that's what got me upset, because when I read it from a football thought process, what you just said. And then I was reading articles about it, and it became a political-driven force. And I'm like, I don't want to get involved with this, because I wasn't even thinking that. Like, how the hell are we even here already? Like, that's what annoys me. I don't want to get any further in it, because we're already, by even just hinting at it, we're dipping our toe in the water, and I don't want to get in the water, okay? Here's what he said. He said, we want mother, father, dual parents, Sanders says, when they're looking for a quarterback. We want that kid to be 3.5 GPA and up, because he's got to be smart. He can't make bad decisions off the field. And then he said, hold on, it's a bullet point, 1 second. And then he referred to drafting defensive linemen. Oh, but when it comes to defensive linemen, he kind of laughs, says, single mama. He's on free lunches, trying to rescue mama is what he looks for. When I read this, and when I heard him say it, I was like, hell yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Here's how I interpreted it. Okay, my parents are divorced. When he was saying, hey, how I read it was, hey, when I want a mother-father household for the quarterback. From somebody who comes from a divorced household, and this is not a knock, I wouldn't change it for the world, right? I believe I'm more in that mindset of a defensive lineman, like I'm hungry, right, to make it work, right, to make something happen. Where somebody who comes from a one-parent house or a two-parent household has the ability, they carry themselves with much more poise, right? They're confident in themselves. They're comfortable in who they are, right? And that's who you want at the quarterback position. Somebody who's comfortable, confident in and they know who they are. They haven't had to necessarily fight for attention or fight for this or fight for that. They're just sound. They're a sound human being, right? That's when I read that, when I saw that. When I saw the defensive lineman comment, right? Got a dog in him, okay? Somebody who's constantly fighting for attention. He's getting passed around. Or maybe he's going over here. He's visiting over here. He's constantly getting moved around. He's seeing this. He's seeing that, right? That's what I thought. That's how I felt about it. And I love that you're adamant about that, because you understand, like, hey, it's a mindset. I can find a 6'5", absolute beast. There's a guy that works at our work right now. I was talking to Todd about him. The guy is massive. He works in the TSA side. Yeah. I saw him walk by me. I'm like, what are you doing here?
Like, I could sit on your shoulders and
get your ass on the line, son. You know what I mean? But again, it goes down to kind of where they come from, and if they have that dog mentality. And so when I read those comments, I was like, I love that he said that. Like, I love that he was, very open about it. It's like, that's who we're going after. I thought it was great. How it turned into a political thing got me very frustrated. I didn't feel that way at all. I felt, again, like, where you come from, what you go through, translates to how you are on the football field. And he even said for his offensive lineman, he wants the same thing, a two-parent household. Again, what are you saying? I don't need a hothead. I don't need somebody who's going to come in there buck wild. I need my offensive lineman to keep it cool. I don't need them hopping off the line. I don't need them getting false starts. I don't need them throwing fits. I need them to stay collected in their realm and be able to keep it in front of them, right?
Yeah, I believe his criteria for offensive line was a 3.3 GPA and up. They got to be tough, and he wanted a father in the household, because in his mind he believes that is instilled discipline from day one. And for an offensive lineman, you can't be the aggressor in a football scenario. You have to stay set. You have to know exactly when you can and cannot move. 1 second early, a half second early, and you take a penalty. You have to be completely disciplined in what you are doing. You have to understand the game on a different level. The defensive line is just taught to be absolute savages and to rip and go and just get after everything you can take, right?
And you can teach some of that.
It's just the mindset that you have when you get there. Yes, for sure you can.
But if you got it already built in you,
get there and then teach it. Oh my gosh, that's when you get these NFL guys that are just absolute monsters. Like Ndamukong Suh. I mean, they couldn't even control that guy. He had so much of that in him, right? Could you imagine Suh, as big as he was, trying to play offensive line? Like, you've got 94 false start penalties. You're starting from inside the one every drive. Guy can't sit still. That's not his thing. But think about those two concepts of what you're looking for outside of the build, outside of 6'5", 300 pounds, strong as an ox. That's not what he's saying. Is he needs the mindset of what these players are when they come onto the field. He can teach them the mechanics. He can teach them different parts. He can take somebody who might be undersized, who has the right mindset of what they know they're supposed to do. And it's not, again, like, let's just transcend the whole socioeconomic nonsense that everybody insisted upon injecting into what he's trying to say, and just take that piece out. Just look at the two components of what he's saying: background, football application. Look at those two things, and it's genius. Now, the other thing I will say is, just because Deion is the first person to say it doesn't mean that Deion is the first person doing it, because other coaches have been out there.
He's just vocal
with
about
this mindset for a long time. He's just vocal. And that's just what Deion does, right? He's just saying all the same stuff everybody else has been doing.
And again, to kind of dip our toe a little bit, that's kind of where it's like he can get away with saying something like that where other coaches may not get away with. I kind of compare it to like a Dave Portnoy situation, where Portnoy says whatever he feels and thinks, and he's at a point now where the cancel culture does not exist for that man, because it's just like he's so upfront about it. The guy gets a sex tape dropped about him. He goes, "So what? Here's another one." You know what I mean? Like, he's untouchable. And there's people like that just, the way they carry themselves, it's like Joe Rogan, untouchable. Like, it just, like, they're just the way they manage their personality, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that. That's who they are. So it's just, to me, I hate that
because they're consistent in who they are.
Correct. That's how it is.
And they're not apologetic about it.
Yes, they don't
apologize. Like real fast, we'll go back to the Tiger thing with the little slip of the tongue. The first time that Tiger apologized, Tiger messed up.
You lose all credibility.
Apologize for that. You lost credibility. If you
this is why
said, no, I know what I did and moved on. That's why Rogan and those guys and Portnoy and a lot of these other figures, they don't, nothing phases them. Why? Because they don't apologize for who they are. Tiger should have never said
Conor
anything.
McGregor,
like, yeah, that was a joke between two friends.
Kyle Busch, Kyle Busch, the greatest race car driver outside of Dale Earnhardt, obviously. Love the guy to death. That's his motto. He called out Joey Logano, who's an absolute bitch stick, about this because he's like, Joey's your best friend off the field. It's like, hey man, what's going on? Let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. And then goes on the course, on the track, and is crashing you all over the track, right? And he's two-faced. And Joey's like, yeah, I am two-faced, blah, 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 blah. Like, you're a passive little bitch. That's what I think about when I look at Joey Logano. And Kyle's like, I'm just a dick all the time. You know that who I am here is who I am there. And I love that. And I think that's the same thing. It's just like, Deion's not a dick, but he's just the same in your face. I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking all the time. And look, that's why I gravitate towards what Coach Prine's been able to do, because I feel like what he's saying and what he's doing is he's telling me the truth. I don't think it's just a bunch of fluff and bull malarkey. That's kind of how I look at it.